Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Coldesina, and I am the manager of travel industry accounts with Sports Travel and Tours. Thank you for joining us this evening. I've got a couple of housekeeping items we want to get underway or get out of the way before we get started. First, either the phone that you've dialed in on or the microphone that you may be that may be attached to a desktop or laptop computer has been muted, so you don't have to worry about inadvertently disturbing the presentation. Second, we will be answering questions. And the way we will do this, there should be a question module that's part of the toolbar, the GoToWebinar toolbar that should have popped up onto your screen when you logged in to the video portion of the webinar. You can type in your question at any point in time, and I will do my best to answer them all at the end of the webinar. If there isn't enough time to answer them all this evening in the webinar, I will be responding to them over the course of the next 24 hours. Third, we are recording this, and we will make that available through that link available through an email. We'll also try to get it posted on the Sports Travel and Tours Facebook page tomorrow morning, so that if you want to go back and watch it again at your leisure, or if you've got other people maybe that weren't able to listen to it live, they can always go back and watch it at any point in time. It'll be posted on our Sports Travel and Tours YouTube channel. And then lastly, I want to apologize. We scheduled this probably a good 2 months ago and totally neglected the fact that the All-Star game was tonight. Normally, we try to set this up on a Tuesday evening the week before Induction Weekend. I don't believe it's previously been a conflict before, so it was the furthest thing from my mind, so I do apologize. But I think it's only still in the first inning, so hopefully we won't miss too much action. If you're like me, I think last night's home run derby probably isn't going to be able to be topped by the game, but hopefully someone will prove me wrong tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. We still have a few people that are in the process of logging in, but I'll reintroduce myself again. My name is Michael Coldesina. I am the manager of travel industry accounts with Sports Travel and Tours. This is actually going to be my 8th consecutive induction weekend. Most of the time I'm hosting, but next week I'm actually going to be in charge of the booth that we're going to have on Main Street on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So if you do have questions while you're in Cooperstown, come stop by the booth. It'll be on Main Street right in front of the entrance to Doubleday Field. So for those of you that this is probably your first trip with Sports Travel and Tours, I just want to give a quick overview of kind of who we are and what we do. We're in our 23rd year of operation, offering fan travel packages to games and events all over North America and to some select international events as well. We're best known for our baseball road trips, our pro and college football gridiron getaways, Hall of Fame travel packages, and the many classic events that we offer, such as the Kentucky Derby, U.S. Open, and the Tournament of Roses Parade. I want to give a quick plug, though, to our baseball road trips. It was really baseball road trips that put our company on the map, and it's one of the things that we're best known for. These are hosted tours anywhere from 3 to 11 days in length. They go from city to city, seeing primarily major league games in major league parks. But along the way, we try to visit museums, historical points of interest, local attractions, and wherever possible, we try to include guided tours of the ballparks that we're visiting. We also allow you some independent leisure time so you can explore a city on your own. Baseball fans do keep choosing Sports Travel and Tours because of the quality and detail that goes into our baseball road trips each year. We offer you the opportunity to see amazing ballparks, see games in great seats, stay in hotels that are centrally located so that when you do have some leisure time, you can explore a city and its surroundings and not spend a lot of time having to get from the hotel to some of the key points of interest. Most of our trips are point to point, so we're not wasting time doubling back, which means less time driving in a motor coach and more time seeing and doing. Probably close to 20 years ago, through customer feedback, we found that the majority of our travelers, our baseball travelers, had expressed an interest in seeing all 30 major league stadiums at some point during their lifetime. So we put together our Passport to Baseball and Baseball Stadium Hall of Fame. You should have all received your documents by now, unless you just recently booked your package, and it should have included a passport for each of the people on the trip. Unless you've traveled with us before, then you would already have a passport passport. There's a page for each major league stadium every time, plus a page for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Every time you travel with us to a new stadium or to the Hall of Fame, you'll get a sticker for your passport. When you've been to all 30 major league stadiums, we invite you to Cooperstown, Hall of Fame weekend in July, and we hold an induction ceremony in the Bullpen Theater. You get a plaque, and there is actually a bio that goes into a nice binder that is forever stored in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and it's just a great opportunity. It's almost like a frequent traveler program because we do pay for your overnight accommodations. Right now, we're holding inductions every 4 years with our next induction class scheduled for 2021. So let's move on. Each year in late July, tens of thousands of people descend upon the tiny hamlet of Cooperstown to see baseball's greatest players honored by the National Baseball Hall of Fame. In less than 2 weeks, we'll see Lee Smith, Harold Baines, Mariano Rivera, Edgar Martinez, and Roy Halladay inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and we're all going to be there to witness it. This webinar is going to give you an overview of the weekend's activities and hopefully answer many questions. As I mentioned earlier, this will be recorded, so you'll be able to watch it again if maybe you missed something along the way, and I am going to be answering questions at the end of the webinar, so please feel free to type them in at any point in time. Also, in your documents, you should have received a business card for the tour host or the two tour hosts that are going to be on your trip. So feel free to ask them any questions, starting with the first day of your trip, which for everyone should be Friday. If any questions come up before then, please feel free to call our offices, and we should be able to answer any questions that you might have. So let's take a look quickly at your final documents. Like I said, unless you've recently booked your package, you should have received your final documents via FedEx. You'll also receive additional items upon your arrival at the hotel and on different days of the trip. But this is what you should have seen in your document folder. There should have been a business card with the name and cell number of your tour hosts or hosts. Second, you should have received luggage tags, passport to baseball, general information about your trip and events, a detailed itinerary with your motor coach number and the name of the motor coach, as each of our trips is named after a current Hall of Famer. Also, individual itineraries are going to vary slightly in regards to the start time for the day's events, mainly in terms of what time you'll be leaving the hotel via motor coach and what time you'll be arriving in Cooperstown. There should be a tour host profile, just kind of giving a background of who your tour host or tour hosts are. Transportation information, depending on if you're driving into the Albany area, flying, or taking the train. There should be gratuity envelopes for your host and for your driver. There should be a Sports Travel and Tours fridge magnet that will hold the hotel contact information sheet that you can leave for someone at home if they need to know where you are and get in touch with you. And then also there's information about the hotel, and then if there's any special dietary needs, and information about our social media platforms. So regardless of which trip you're on, whether you're staying in Albany, Oneonta, or Verona, New York, unless you're coming in a day early or so, the trip starts on July 19th. Depending on the trip, your tour host is going to be available either in the main lobby of the hotel or in a close-by conference room, and you'll be able to check in with your host. They're going to give you some additional items as well that evening, and then we have trip receptions after that point. And like I said, depending on the trip that you're on, they're going to be starting between 4:30 and 7 p.m., with the majority of them starting at 6 p.m. For those that are on packages staying at the Desmond or the Albany Marriott, we've also got a treat for you. At the Desmond, it's going to be from 6:30 to 7:30, and then at the Albany Marriott from 8 to 9:30 p.m., and that's the ump's eye view. And if a major league umpire could steal the show in a major league game, Al Clark might have been the one to be able to do it. During his 26 seasons as a professional umpire, he officiated at Nolan Ryan's 300th win, Cal Ripken's record breaker, and the Earthquake World Series in 1989, just to name a few. Al's going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the great American pastime, and he's going to really give you the perspective of what baseball is from the perspective of an umpire. He's also going to open it up to questions from the audience. Saturday, depending on your individual schedules, departures for Cooperstown will be between 7:45 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., with arrivals between 9 a.m. and 10:15 a.m. The lanyard that you see pictured, well, actually, it will be pictured here in a minute as soon as the slide comes up. Anyway, you will receive a lanyard when you check in on Friday evening. And the lanyard is really going to be your entry into the Baseball Hall of Fame. All of the packages include a one-year membership that gives you unlimited access, not just this weekend, but any point in time between now and the beginning of next July in 2020, so that you can go into the Hall of Fame and come and go as many times as you need. You will be receiving daily souvenir tickets that will have an image of, usually it's an image of a past Hall of Famer or someone from the current class. So you will receive one of those for each day of your package, Saturday, Sunday for the 3-day, 2-night packages, and Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the 4-day, 3-night packages. But because we are the official licensed travel partner of the Baseball Hall of Fame, they recognize the lanyard. So that's really all that you need. You don't have to pull out your membership card, which you will receive Saturday morning on the way into Cooperstown. You don't have to show the souvenir ticket. Just wear the lanyard, show that as you walk in, and no questions will be asked. Now, there's a couple things going on Saturday. The bulk of Saturday, though, is at leisure, and we'll talk about the different ways to get into the Hall of Fame in a little bit more detail when I get to a map of the Cooperstown area. But the nice thing is you're really never going to have a line to get into the Hall of Fame, and we'll explain that in just a minute. There was just within the last couple of days, we found out that the Seattle Mariners are doing a special celebration of Edgar Martinez from 2 to 2:45 p.m. at Doubleday Field. This is open to the general public. Seating is first come, first served, and basically now Edgar himself will not be in attendance, but many former Mariners, including Mariner Hall of Famers, Jay Buhner, Alvin Davis, Jamie Moyer, Dan Wilson, Mariners radio broadcaster, and I might get his last name wrong, but Rick Riz, it looks like, and then athletic trainer emeritus Rick Griffin are going to be sharing stories and memories about their teammate, Edgar Martinez. So that is from 2 to 2:45 p.m., and like I said, it's open to the general public, and it's at Doubleday Field. Okay, so this is kind of an overview shot of Cooperstown, and the first arrow I want you to look at is the gold arrow. So that is pointing to the front entrance of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and just to the right of that, just basically where the building ends, you can kind of see a little park area. That's Cooper Park. That's where the motor coach will drop everyone off on Saturday morning. So you're basically, just on the next block after the Baseball Hall of Fame. There are 3 entrances that you'll be able to use. The first 2 are basically in front of the gold arrow. It's the main entrance. Depending on what time of day, you might actually see a line, though, at the main entrance. You don't have to wait in that line. Just walk up to the front, go to the left of where most of those people are going in, and you'll see above the doorway it says members or membership. I can't remember. I think it's members. Walk in there, show your lanyard, and you'll be able to walk right in. When you first arrive, though, Saturday morning, the entrance that's going to probably be the easiest to use is the one that's by the green arrow. And that goes directly into the library section of the Hall of Fame. And then from there, you still can get into all of the other sections of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Then the other couple things I want to point out, the blue arrow is pointing to Doubleday Field. So that is where the Voices of the Game, the celebration of Edgar Martinez, will take place from 2 to 2:45 on Saturday. It's also where the Hall of Fame Awards presentation, these are the journalism awards that are given out, that starts at 4:30 at Doubleday Field. And then the star, the yellow star that you see, that's basically the entrance to the Doubleday Field parking area for Main Street, but it's also where our Sports Travel and Tours information booth or tent will be set up. So if at any point during the time on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, you've got a question, you can't get a hold of your tour host, just stop by the booth, and there's always going to at least be 2 or 3 different Sports Travel and Tours employees, including me, probably most of those times, stop by, ask us a question. You can find out about some of our other programs as well. The last arrow is just a purple arrow to designate pretty much the effective end of Main Street as far as where the shops are concerned. There's a few more shops that go just to the left. I guess it's really to the west of that purple arrow, but it's really about a 3-block long Main Street. So there's not a lot of walking. It's pretty flat in this area. It's very easy to get around. Okay, so there's 3 floors to the Baseball Hall of Fame. The first floor, I'm going to point out here with the blue arrows, those are the entrances that we talked about. So on the far left side is the main entrance, and just to the left of the main entrance is where you can go in without having to wait in the lines that you'll probably see at different points in time on Saturday, possibly Sunday and Monday. The other blue arrow on the far right is the library entrance, and in I think the last 8 years, I don't believe I've ever seen a line to get in the library entrance because basically only members can come in that way. And then the last 2 things I want to point out on the first floor, the green arrows are pointing to the 2 sets of restrooms that are on the first floor. So a couple of key things that are on the first floor. What everyone wants to see is the Hall of Fame gallery. This is where all of the plaques are for all of the Hall of Famers except for the class of 2019. The class of 2019 will have their plaques installed overnight on Sunday, and they will be available first thing Monday morning for those of you that are on the 4-day, 3-night packages. There are 2 gift stores on gift shops in the Hall of Fame. They're both on the first floor. The largest one is on the left-hand side at the bottom of the screen, the museum store. But there's also a museum bookstore on the library side, which is obviously a little bit smaller. One thing to keep in mind, since all of you are receiving memberships as part of the package, one of the benefits of your membership is free shipping, both for things purchased in Cooperstown at the museum store, as well as things that are purchased online from the Baseball Hall of Fame's website. So if you buy things in Cooperstown, you don't have to cart them back with you. You can have them shipped back home for free. I will also mention that there is technically a 3rd Hall of Fame gift shop that is down Main Street about a block west of the Hall of Fame. So that would also you'll also be able to have stuff shipped back from that one as well. Okay. The second and third floors where the bulk of the exhibits are going to be, and there are restrooms on each of those floors as well. The third floor has a special section which is devoted to baseball fans, and I urge all of you to take a little bit of a look there because our very first passport to baseball and information about kind of our first, we had a trip in the year 2000 that did all 30 major league ballparks in the space of about 6 weeks. So that information is actually on display in the Hall of Fame, and it's just kind of a cool thing to see at the early beginnings of our company. There is a temporary exhibit that just opened over Memorial Day weekend on the third floor. It's called Shoebox Treasures, and it's focusing on baseball cards and baseball card collectors. Okay. So as you can imagine, our tour hosts know a lot about Cooperstown. Many of these hosts have been coming to Cooperstown for more than 10, 12 years or more. So they like to pass on their suggestions. So we've taken a lot of their suggestions in terms of where to get a bite to eat on Saturday afternoon. Also, of course, the membership the membership and the free shipping, that was something that was provided by one of our tour hosts. So please keep that in mind. It's nice to not have to lug all the purchases that you've brought home, on the plane or in the car or however you happen to have traveled there. The one thing that's nice in Cooperstown is there's plenty of good places to grab a bite to eat. There's also a lot of street vendors that will be set up as well. So finding something to eat is not difficult, and always ask your hosts because, like I said, the majority of them have been here several times year over year, not just for Induction Weekend, but also with other trips, so that they definitely have some good examples that they can give you. One of the things that I like to do is grab something to go, and then just a block north of the Hall of Fame is Otsego Lake, and there's a nice park. You can grab a park bench, or the ground is kind of sloping at that point. You can just kind of lay back on the grass, enjoy a bite to eat, and just kind of get away from the crowds for a little bit. Okay, now we're looking at Sunday. Departure again between 7:45 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. depending on your individual itineraries. And the induction is at the Clark Sports Center. This is about a mile outside of downtown Cooperstown, and I'll show you a map in just a minute. We will be going to the Clark Sports Center first. The coaches will be parked just on site as long as the weather has not been very wet in the past few days. It's going to be just a very short walk to the seating areas, the two different seating areas, depending on the type of trip that you're on. Seating is either in the VIP section, which in this picture would be in front of the white tent that you see, or in the what they refer to as the open seating area. We actually go in about a day and a half before the induction. We set up all of our chairs at the closest possible point that isn't in the VIP section. So whether you're in one of our packages that has VIP seating or just our regular kind of general admission seating, it's all reserved. You don't have to worry about staking out a chair. You've got a seat with our package. The Hall of Fame and the Village of Cooperstown provides shuttles, though, from the induction site back up to Main Street because you will be getting there a couple of hours before the induction starts at 1:30. So if you're looking at the picture, you can kind of see a row of yellow school buses. Those are the actual shuttles. So you just make your way to the other side of the induction site, hop on one of the shuttles. It's about a 5-minute ride just back up to Main Street, and then you have another several hours that you can spend in the Hall of Fame or on Main Street. The shuttle basically they just loop, so you can kind of get a shuttle anytime that you want to come back. But the last shuttle leaves at 1 p.m. on Sunday, with the induction starting at 1:30. Our suggestion is to be in line by no later than 12:30 to 12:45, just so that you make sure that you're on that last shuttle. Worst case scenario is if you miss it, it's just about a mile walk from the Baseball Hall of Fame back to the Clark Sports Center, and it's mostly just slight downhill. So it's not a bad walk. I've walked it a couple of years myself. This map here will show the layout. If you look on the left-hand side, the top gold arrow is pointing to where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. The lower gold arrow is pointing to where the Clark Sports Center is. And then on the right-hand side, kind of another map layout of Cooperstown with 15 down at the bottom in the red dot showing the Clark Sports Center, and then number 10 showing the baseball, or excuse me, number 10 is showing the Cooper Park area where the buses are dropped off, and then number 9 is showing the Baseball Hall of Fame, and number 12 is showing Doubleday Field. So the induction ceremony starts at 1:30 p.m. There will be water distributed both in the VIP section as well as the general admission area where our seating is, but there's also food and beverage for purchase, and the prices are actually quite reasonable. I think last year you could get 2 hot dogs and a soda for $6, which really isn't too bad at all. We will, though, have box lunches available as soon as the induction is over and you get back onto your motor coach. There will be a box lunch sitting on your seat, as well as a cold beverage. The induction ceremony, based on the fact that there are 5 inductees, probably will go 3 to 3.5 hours. It'll be approximately a 25 to 30-minute wait once the induction site's over and you're on and you get back to the motor coach, and then there is a little bit of wait before they release the motor coaches. They like to make sure that all of the the players, family, friends, VIPs are on their motor coaches, and they have exited the induction site before they let everyone else out. But that'll give you time to start eating your box lunch, relax a little bit in the air-conditioned motor coach, and then for the 3-day, 2-night packages, we'll head back first to the airport and then to the hotels. And for the 4-day, 3-night packages, we'll head straight back to the hotels. And for those that started their package in Baltimore or New York City who are doing baseball road trips that include the induction, you'll be going straight back to your hotels as well. If you are checking out on Sunday the 21st and you're flying, then the suggestion is check out, bring your bags to the lobby area where the buses will be boarded. Put the luggage underneath the bus. That way, when we get to the airport, it's ready and you can just get the luggage out. If you have driven into Cooperstown, if you've driven into the Albany area and you're departing Sunday, you can go ahead and just check out, put your bags in the car, and then when the motor coach gets back, you'll be ready to leave. Okay, so now for those packages that also include Monday, departure times will still be about the same, between 7:45 and 8:15 a.m., depending on the package, arriving into Cooperstown at 9:30. The one event scheduled for Monday is the Legends of the Game Roundtable. This starts at 10:30 a.m., lasts approximately 45 to 50 minutes. It will feature it will feature the living inductees for the class of 2019. It'll be hosted by a moderator, and basically it's a great opportunity to hear some additional information from each of the inductees. This is actually my favorite event each year. I think a lot of it is because the players really do sometimes get a little bit nervous for their induction speech. And so once the induction's over, Monday they're much more at ease. There's a lot of back and forth that goes on between not just the player and the moderator, but also between the players, especially if they have played during the same area, they've had experiences together, and it's just a really interesting opportunity to get to know more information about the inductees. The rest of the day will just be at leisure, grab a bite to eat, and then the motor coaches will be departing for the airport and then the hotel between 3:30 and 4 p.m. Okay, so that is the end of the webinar. It looks like we do have a few questions that have come in, so let me bring up the question module here, and we'll start answering questions. And if you still have a question, please feel free to type it in at any time. Let's see. So the first question is, if we are running late, can we go straight to the trip reception? So yes, basically if you're running late and you think you're just going to make the trip reception, you can always get the information that the tour host will be giving out prior to the trip reception, either during or immediately following the trip reception. The majority of the packages have the trip reception, I think, at the hotel that they're at, but any of them, I think, that are at the Hampton Inn, the Holiday Inn Express, Holiday Inn Express, they're at an off-site location. Transportation is provided via motor coach, but also if you are running late, you could always, if you're in a car, you could always go right there. You do have in your documents the business card that has the phone number, cell phone number for the tour host. So if you are running late on that Friday arrival, feel free to just text them or give them a quick call, let them know you're running late, and then they can make any arrangements that they need to make sure that you can get there if you don't have your own transportation, or if they need to leave something for you at the front desk, they can do that as well. Okay. Is there transportation between the Hall of Fame and Doubleday Field? No, and and the main reason is because it's such a short distance. So Doubleday Field is about 2 blocks west of the Baseball Hall of Fame. If you come out of the main entrance of the Baseball Hall of Fame and make a left down Main Street at a nice gingerly pace, you can be at Doubleday Field probably in about 3.5 to 4 minutes. On Saturday and Sunday, Main Street will be blocked off to vehicular traffic, and it will be a pedestrian walkway. The sidewalks will probably be crowded. It'll probably be easiest to just come right out onto the street and walk down the street, since there will be no car traffic on Saturday and Sunday. Let's see. Is there an additional charge for the Al Clark presentation? The Al Clark presentation on Friday at the Marriott or at the Desmond is only available to those that are on that particular package. But there is a presentation that Al is doing that you can add. I believe it's $50 per person. It is Saturday at the Hall of Fame in the Bullpen Theater from 1:30 to 2:30, and as of earlier today, there still was some space available. So just give us a call tomorrow, and we can certainly add that for you. Let's see. Next question. Hold on one second. I have to scroll down here. Okay. We arrive on the 18th, staying at the Marriott. Will there be anyone we should meet at that time, or just check in and wait for Friday? Actually, there'll probably be a lot of people there starting on Wednesday evening, the 17th. But I would just go ahead and check in. You'll probably run into a number of Sports Travel and Tours people that will be staying there, whether they're hosts or just support staff. But you'll probably see them around. Will we be provided copies of the maps shown today? So the map of the Hall of Fame, that will be available when you go into the Hall of Fame. They have them there. I can't remember if they're handing them out or if they're there just to grab. Let's see. I don't know if they will be having those maps handed out, but I will see if I can make it available on our Facebook page so it can just be downloaded. And let's see, next question. Can we bring backpacks into the Hall of Fame and the ceremony? Yes, you can. What is the average July temperature in Cooperstown? How's the humidity? So without knowing an exact average, in the 8 years that I've been there, there's never been a really, really hot day, and it's never been overly humid. But for Sunday, because the induction site is not covered and there's really no immediate area to get out of the shade, please make sure that you bring sunscreen. Please bring some type of hat. You might even want to think about bringing some type of lightweight long sleeve shirt just to protect you from the sun. But I would say that the temperatures have usually been at the highest mid-80s, at the lowest maybe 78, 79 on Induction Sunday. A couple of years we've had Saturday be quite cool, high 70s, and once it gets to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and the sun's low on the horizon, it can be a little cool. So you might also want to consider about having a jacket for at least Saturday, since we'll be there until approximately 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening on Saturday. Okay, next question. Let's see. Itinerary states that the Legends of the Game Roundtable is at the Clark Sports Center. You know what? And actually, that may have been an error on my end. I think they have switched it now to the Clark Sports Center, so that the motor coaches will be going directly there on Monday, and then afterwards we'll be going up to the main street in the Hall of Fame area. It had previously been at the at Doubleday Field probably for the last 8 or 9 years. So I do apologize. I think we just forgot to update that from last year's slide. But your documentation that you have received in your folder is correct. So we are departing on Sunday. Is it possible to drive to Cooperstown so we do not have to go back to Albany just to go back downstate? It's definitely possible. I would strongly suggest against it, only because the amount of people that are driving in on their own. Essentially, what you would have to do is you'd have to park, either find some place to park in town. They do have 3 parking lots that are just outside of town, but from there you'd have to take a shuttle into town and then pick up a different shuttle taking you out to the induction site, and then do the same thing on return. So it's Sunday is the craziest day out of all of them because there's so many people that are in a 2 to 3 hour radius of Cooperstown that come in just for the induction. And we've just heard a lot of horror stories about people trying to drive in on their own on the Sunday. Possible, but not. I would advise against it. Are there buses back and forth throughout the day or only at the times indicated? So yeah, only at the times indicated. There is a set departure time in the morning and a set return time in the evening on your itineraries. Is it possible to meet the players? So there's nothing that the Baseball Hall of Fame has made available to the public where we can, buy into some type of meet the players, especially those that are being inducted. But I would say that you do have, at least a good chance of meeting players on Main Street in Cooperstown. Probably not necessarily Hall of Famers, but former players. There's always a lot that are in town. There probably will be as many as 40 or 50 in town doing autograph sessions in various locations at different businesses along Main Street. We try to post on our Facebook page a complete listing of who will be where at what times on what day and what they're charging for autographs. So I would say probably next Thursday or Friday, look on the Sports Travel and Tours Facebook page, and there should be those details. There's also a free publication that the City of Cooperstown puts out with that information, so you might be able to find that as well. When you're there on Saturday or Sunday. We do try to at least have a copy available for someone to look at the information booth that we'll have, but the best way to find it is just to go to the Sports Travel and Tours Facebook page, probably starting Thursday next week. How many people are in each tour? The majority of them I know right now are full, so they're probably at 54 people plus 2 tour hosts. Let's see. Someone's asking about when you will get your lanyards and tickets to the induction ceremony. So you'll get your lanyards Friday when you meet your tour host, and that will be in either the front lobby of the hotel or in a conference room that's just off the main lobby. There'll be signage in the hotel lobby if the table's not right there in immediate view. And the ceremonial tickets to the induction, they will be given out Sunday morning on the motor coach ride into Cooperstown. Let's see. Someone's asking, should we make reservations for lunch or dinner on Saturday? Never really had a need to make reservations. If you're going at the most busiest time during lunch, you might have to wait, 10 minutes depending on what location you're trying to get into. But Cooperstown has a lot of restaurants, and then in addition to the restaurants, there's a lot of street vendors. So never had too much issue trying to find a place to go to have a bite to eat. So what happens if it rains? So if it rains on Induction Sunday, have had a couple in the past years where they've had a slight delay in the start time. Fortunately, it hasn't been anything more than about 15, 20 minutes. If it rains to the point where it's going to be a washout, unfortunately, the induction ceremony does go on, but inside the Clark Sports Center and just for friends, family, and dignitaries. But it hasn't been an issue. Like I said, we've just had a couple of slight delays because of rain. The weather has been very fortunate for the last several years for us. Sorry, I have to read this one. It says, can we ignore Pete Rose if we see him? And yes, you can. Let's see. Best area to view the parade on Saturday. So the parade actually is staged in the back parking lot of Doubleday Field, comes out the back entrance, which is onto Chestnut for about a block, and then makes a right-hand turn onto Main Street. I would say anywhere on Main Street between Chestnut and the Hall of Fame is going to be a good spot. It actually ends at the Hall of Fame. I would say a block west of the Hall of Fame on Main Street going towards Doubleday Field or past Doubleday Field going towards where Chestnut is, will have the better viewing areas where there's just going to be less people. Fortunately, on the Doubleday Field side of Main Street, the sidewalks do slope down a little bit. So if you're at the back part of the sidewalk, those that are in front of you are a little bit lower in elevation as it goes down towards street level. So you can usually see overheads if you need to be able to do that. Okay, still have about 5 more minutes for some questions. Let me keep looking here. I know there's a few more. Let's see. It says, if I rent a car, how far is it from the Desmond Hotel to in Albany to Cooperstown? It's about 67 miles, ends up being about an hour and 15-minute drive. And it says, could you talk about the parade on Saturday? So the Parade of Legends, it is from 6 p.m. to approximately 6:50, 7 o'clock. All of the returning Hall of Famers that are coming to Cooperstown generally participate, and they the way they do the parade is they do them in order of who was inducted the longest time ago. So if there was someone that was inducted from the class of 1965, then that would be the first person, and then they keep going up through the years until it ends with the class of 2019. They are generally in the backs of pickup trucks, so open air, and they're also raised up enough so that even if you're not, if you're 3 or 4 people deep in line seeing, you can still see above the heads and have a good view of the players that are coming through. Let's see. Some of the questions are duplicates, so I'm just kind of scrolling through to see if there's one that I have not already answered. Let's see. It says, can you go over the induction day process again? Do we get back on the motor coach right after the ceremony and go back to the hotel, or do we have time to explore the city and go back to the hotel later on? So no, the motor coaches will leave as soon as possible after the end of the induction on Sunday afternoon. Based on the 1:30 start, it's probably going to go till between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. By the time the coaches can leave, it'll probably be 5:30. The coaches will be parked on site unless for some reason the weather the last couple of days before the induction has been inclement and the buses can't go out onto the field. But assuming that they are parked at the induction site, probably take 3 to 4 minutes to walk from the seating area to where the motor coaches are. There'll be a box lunch waiting for you on your seat. You'll have a cold bottle of water as well. And then basically once everyone's on board, we wait for the okay to depart from the event staff there, and we'll go straight back to the airport for those packages that are ending on Sunday evening, and then back to the hotel. For those that are continuing on Monday, everyone will just go straight back to the hotel. Are umbrellas allowed at the induction site if it is raining? Yes, and they're also allowed up until the start of the induction if it's sunny, because with the sun, a lot of people do have umbrellas to kind of keep them shaded, and they'll mention a few times that umbrellas are fine until the induction starts at 1:30, and then they ask everyone to lower their umbrella. Let's see. Next question. Will we be leaving from the Hall of Fame to go home on Monday? Will parking be an issue? Not sure if you're talking about parking for the motor coaches. The motor coaches will all have parking. I will try to reach out to you tomorrow and just make sure that you weren't talking about a personal vehicle. Let's see. A couple more questions here. Just to reiterate, backpacks are allowed. Let's see. Someone's asking about the expected drive time from Albany to Cooperstown Saturday and Sunday. Yes, generally it's about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes Friday, Saturday, or Monday. Even on the return, it's still about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. Once you basically get about five minutes outside of Cooperstown, then the traffic really seems to be moving well. And I don't think it's ever taken more than about an hour and 25, hour and 30 minutes on the return. All right, a couple more questions. Uh, Will it be easier to park on Monday if we're taking our own car? Yes. Monday, in comparison to Saturday and Sunday, will be a virtual ghost town. So it will not be difficult to find a parking space in town, or there's always the off-site lots that you can park at. And then that way, yeah, if you are driving, then you can leave kind of at your leisure on Monday anytime, anytime you'd like. I will try to remember to reach out to you, and if you have any other questions. Let's see, crazy crowds at the parade on Saturday. Not, I mean, crowds, yes, but not horrendous. I don't expect it to be that much different this year. Next year, when Jeter gets in, it's a completely different story. Let's see. I heard that going to the golf tourney on Sunday morning is good to see the players. Is that true? On both Saturday and Sunday, as you're coming into town, you go right in the middle of the, I think it's called the Leather Stocking Golf Course, which is attached to the Otasago Hotel and Resort, which is where the players are staying. And you will see a ton of people waiting at different points trying to get autographs from players. And they're playing not just on Sunday. I think there's maybe some kind of tournament, but there's also players that are playing on Saturday morning as well. It's a little bit of a hike from the Main Street area. It may take you about 15 minutes to walk out there, but yeah, that looks, based on how many people are waiting, it looks like that is a good location. Let's see. So someone is asking, our plane leaves Albany at 3 p.m. on Monday. Would it be possible to see the roundtable discussion and still make our flight? If you are driving in on your own on Monday, I think definitely. Like I said, it only takes about an hour and 15, 20 minutes, especially if you're in a car, to go back. Roundtable should be over by 11:30. If you leave at 11:30, you should easily be able to get back to the Albany airport by 1 p.m. Albany is a small airport. 2 hours prior is going to give you plenty of time. Okay. All right, so we're kind of up against our time limit. I do see that there are a number of other questions. I will start responding to those tomorrow morning. And my contact information has been up on the screen. If you want to reach out to me tomorrow by phone or email, please don't hesitate to do that. And I will make the recording available both on our Facebook page. It'll also be going out sometime tomorrow via email to anyone that received the email to register for the webinar. And of course, you can always pass the link around to people that may not have received it, or if there's multiple people in the party, then obviously not everyone received that email invitation. So I do thank you for your time. Please stop by our booth on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday if you have any questions. Would love to chat with you. But thank you for taking time out of your evening, and hope to see you in about 10 days.